time for your workout of the week. It's time to put everything together, everything you learned this week. It's time to put it all together. We're using bands and dumbbells together. 2 of the exercises are going to be with bands, and the other 2 are with dumbbells. Okay, so here we go. Follow along. The first exercise is going to be a reverse lunge with the band on your foot. The second exercise is going to be a banded single arm shoulder press. The third exercise is going to be a single leg deadlift with dumbbells. And the fourth exercise is going to be a dumbbell chest press on the floor. Okay, we're doing about 8 to 10 reps on every exercise. For the exercises that are one arm at a time or one side at a time, we're doing 8 reps on each side. Okay. All right, these are our Fit to Go bands. We have plenty in stock. You can order yours today. They're very, very good quality. All right, here we go. So I'm putting the band under my foot here. Bring the handles up to my shoulders, and I step back and sink down. 1. And 8, okay? Switch sides. Make sure you have equal tension on both sides. And 8, okay, very good. All right, now we have our single arm shoulder press. We're gonna start with the right side. This is my right arm. All right, so here, tension here with the arm. Come to the front, like this. Press straight up for 8 reps. Okay, switch. Onto your left foot for your left arm press. All right. Here we go. And 8. All right. There's your 2 band exercises. Next, we have a single leg deadlift. Here we go, 8 reps each side with the dumbbells. All right, here we go. And 8, switch. And 8, all right. Finally, chest press on the floor. We have a total of 10 reps. Here we go. And 10. There you go. All right, we're gonna rest for 30 seconds and we'll continue with round 2. I'm gonna get the music back on. All right. It's almost 30 seconds. I'm gonna start again with the reverse lunges with your band. All right, start getting ready. Here we go. Bring it up to your shoulders. Want equal tension on both sides. Okay, shoulders, and then relax. Keep your chest up, long and tall through the spine. Here we go. 8 reps. Switch. Okay. Equal tension, shoulder. And 8, all right. Okay, next exercise, single arm shoulder press. Keep this nice and taut. Bring it up to the front and press. 1. And 8, switch. Okay, here we go. And 8, all right, very good. All right, set the band off to the side, grab your dumbbells. All right, single leg deadlift, show you from the front this time. 8 reps each side. And switch. And 8. All right. On in a sec. Get the music back on. All right. Chest press on the floor for 10 reps. Here we go. Get set. Shoulders, dumbbells over shoulders. Ready, go. Okay, very nice. All right, 30 seconds rest. That's 2 rounds. We've got 2 more. Okay. All right, round 3, here we go. Have your band, reverse lunges. Here we go. All right, left leg first, bring them up, and let's go. 1. 8, switch. Okay, here we go. And 8, okay. Single arm press, here we go. 1. 8, okay. Switch. And 8, okay. All right, drop the band, grab your dumbbells. All right, single leg deadlift, here we go. 8 reps per side. And 8, switch. Okay, chest press, 10 reps. Here we go. Ready? Start over top of your shoulders. Okay, very good. Rest 30 seconds. We got one more round to do. All right, let's finish strong here. Last round of the day. Reverse lunge, put your band onto your foot, equal tension, up to the shoulders, and relax, and stay tall. All right, here we go. Eight, okay, switch. Equal tension. Eight, okay, good. All right, shoulder press. Pull this nice and taut here. Other side, to your shoulder, in front, vertical forearm. And press. 8. Okay. Switch. Here we go. Eight. Okay. Very nice. All right, stand to the side, grab your dumbbells. Single leg deadlift, 8 reps. And 8, switch. And 8. There you go. All right. Chest press. Last exercise. There we go. 10 reps and we're done. Get set. Ready. Go. Okay. There you go.